Valentine's Day is coming up, and it's not because we're stuck at home in some form of a lockdown that we can't spice things up, turn up the heat, and wear a killer fragrance to seduce your partner or future conquest. Hello everyone, welcome back to Jus de Rose. On this channel we talk about fragrances, and today we're talking about seductive fragrances. But not only that, I'll be giving you some tips and tricks along the way to master the art of seduction. Not that I'm an expert, but I've heard that these things work, so let's get straight into the fragrances. Tip number one is to groom yourself. Make yourself presentable. It'll make you feel good and you'll feel confident. Now, confidence is attractive. So you want to find a fragrance that will boost your confidence, and I would recommend you try out Rouge Malachite by Armani Privé. This is a tuberose dominant fragrance, so a white floral, unisex, but yeah, leaning more towards feminine. Don't worry, gentlemen, there are some unisex / more manly choices within this list, but if you like tuberose, still check out Rouge Malachite. So, this perfume predominantly smells of tuberose, especially when you first spray it. It's very green and very potent. And then it will warm to your skin and it will become a little bit more agreeable. You also have some jasmine, some orange blossom, and you're gonna get this beautiful ambery undertone when it warms to your skin. So what I would recommend to you ladies, to you gentlemen who like tuberose-based fragrances and you want to try this one, spray this perfume 2 hours or 1.5 hours before your date, because the perfume in the dry down is so much better than when you first spray it. That is my tip for you. Next, you want to grab attention, stir desire. You're going to make eye contact, engage in a conversation, and be charming. So you want to find a fragrance that is very inviting and will make the person you're talking to or going to want to go on a date with very comfortable to be around you. So I would recommend you try out Grand Soir by Maison Francis Kurkdjian. I have a blotter here. This is one of the most beautiful ambery fragrances that are on the market. It is high quality, and one that, you know, if you have to try a few fragrances from Maison Francis Kurkdjian, definitely get your nose on this perfume. Grand Soir, incredible amber. So it's mainly amber and vanilla, so it's warm, it's cozy and inviting, but it's not an amber that is too sweet, too sticky, as a lot of ambers can be, nor is it going to be too powdery or too resinous. It is so well blended, very round and extremely harmonious. So everything just fits well together, and it's a super luxurious and cozy fragrance. Tip number 3, don't be too serious, because things can get very awkward otherwise, and also you don't want to be too obvious in your seduction game. So leave things fun, lighthearted, playful, flirtatious. So I would go for a fragrance that embodies these things, something that is playful and flirtatious. I would recommend you try Elixir pour Femme by Roja Parfum. This is a floral fruity scent which predominantly smells of rose, and it's like really dewy and fresh, as well as peach and raspberry. Very chilled, easygoing fragrance. It's full of life and really bubbly, and well, gets a lot of compliments as well. Elixir pour Femme by Roja Parfum. So you started to get to know the person a little bit better and starting to feel comfortable, know what they like, etc. But you want to send some mixed signals. Like, that is key in the art of seduction. You don't want to be too obvious with your game here, and you want to wear a fragrance that is enigmatic, such as Désir Toxique by Micallef. This perfume is dark, it's even a little bit kinky, yet very likable and special at the same time. So this is a perfume that is full of contradictions. It smells, and I'm going to be very honest with you, it smells of a mix of, say, barbershop, so freshly clean-shaven man, aromatics, minty, just very fresh and soapy, blended with marijuana. So the scent of marijuana. Again, full of contradiction. So overall, this fragrance is aromatic, it's spicy. I get quite a bit of cardamom in this scent, which is, by the way, super sexy. And you also have a little bit of sweetness due to the black currant, but honestly, not so much. Just a little bit to add another dimension to the fragrance. Now, if you are a fan of, say, Layton by Parfum de Marly or Allure Sport ou Extrême by Chanel, this fragrance will probably be right up your alley because it has like a similar vibe to these fragrances, but no one really knows about the scent. So there you go. It's a more unique perfume and one that you should definitely discover from Micallef. Désir toxique. Tip number 5, add an element of surprise. So bring that special person to a place they've never been to before, offer them a gift, or even better, reveal something new about your character. And of course, you want to wear a fragrance that makes you feel very special and that is very special. And so for that, I would recommend Oud Violet Intense by Fragrance du Bois. Now this perfume, when I first discovered Fragrance du Bois, is the one that I fell in love with, and to this day is my number 1 from Fragrance du Bois. Oud Violet Intense is a very sensual fragrance. It is predominantly a woody perfume with oud, of course, but in this fragrance, it smells more like a natural oud chip. So without the resinous or pungent smell that you can get from oud fragrances, in here, it is very clean smelling, if that makes sense. And you get a little bit of sweetness from tonka bean, as well as some amber. I believe there's also some labdanum and some spices. This is a beautiful perfume. If you're a fan of woody fragrances that are very sensual but not too sweet, and you want something that is very unique, because this is a very unique perfume, I highly recommend you guys get your nose on Oud Violet Intense. Now, never be ordinary or limited. Create some sort of fantasy, one that will resemble your future conquests or partner's dreams, so that they become even more engrossed by you. And a fragrance that evokes such fantasy is Royal Elixir by Ormonde Jane. Now this perfume is super sexy, and also it is so intoxicating. You don't need that many sprays to make a very big impact. It is super strong, but not in a way that is obnoxious or cloying. It is just really luxurious and feels super refined. So this fragrance has some floral elements to it. There is some jasmine, some rose, but it remains quite fresh. There's also some greenness in this fragrance, which actually is rounded off by some really silky woods in the background. This perfume really feels elevated and luxurious and will certainly bring you to a dream-like world. So that was Royal Elixir by Ormonde Jane. Tip number 7, create tension and suspense. You don't want to give in too easily. You want things to build up because it is so much more exciting. So now, fragrance-wise, what would you wear to keep your partner or future conquest on their toes? I would recommend you try out Noir de Noir by Tom Ford. Now this perfume is chocolate and roses in a bottle. Basically your Valentine's Day gifts. So this fragrance is a really dark and sensual rose. The rose is very jammy and there's fruity notes as well that embellishes this really dark, I would say this is a black rose. So very dark and edgy black rose blended with the chocolate. Now, the chocolate isn't milk chocolate. No. It is a naughty dark chocolate. That is what Noir de Noir is about. Living on the wild side. Okay, so now that you've done all of the other steps, you still want to maintain some mystery, an air of nonchalance to agitate the senses and stir up even more desire. And a fragrance that does just that is, of course, Oud for Greatness by Initio Parfum Privé. This fragrance is so sexy. Oh my goodness. It is a sweet oud perfume that is beast mode. If performance is important to you, get this fragrance. It won't come off of you. Like, it just doesn't until you shower, and even if you shower, it still clings to your skin. This is a fragrance that will last 12 hours plus on your skin. Beast mode projection a la Black Orchid by Tom Ford. Very, very strong fragrance. The oud in this fragrance is very dry, and I find it to be quite masculine. Now, this perfume is unisex, but when my partner wears this scent, oh my goodness, does this smell so much more amazing than it does on me. So anyways, it's dry, it's also spicy, and you have a little nod of sweetness in this scent, which in my opinion makes it super addictive. Tip number 9, turn up the heat by pulling away again. Yes, you heard me. My goodness, you have to be really mentally strong for this seduction game because there's a lot of ups and downs here. Anyways, you want a fragrance that is provocative for this instance. And one that is just that is Oud Satin Mood by Maison Francis Kurkdjian. This is a rose to oud fragrance, and the rose is also quite jammy in this perfume, but it's even darker than in Noir de Noir. And it's also sweeter because you have a bit of vanilla in this perfume, and it feels a tad powdery at the same time. Really interesting perfume. This is like the Black Widow of fragrances. You're wearing this to go for the kill. So yeah, great one for an intimate date night. I highly recommend it if you're having some red wine, some steak, you have candles all around you, dim lights. Oud Satin Mood. And now you're ready to move in for the kill. Make your move with a crazy sexy carnal fragrance such as Musc Ravageur by Frédéric Malle. This fragrance smells a little bit beastly and dirty, but the overall impression, not any of the ingredients, is just like, yeah, it's like raw and beastly, and it just makes it super irresistible. With this fragrance, you're gonna get sophistication with a big dose of naughtiness. It is a sweeter fragrance, but it's not too sweet. You have some amber, you have some vanilla, you also have lavender, which really pierces through the thicker, more denser, richer, sweeter notes of the base and also adds a light powderiness. I would go as far to say that Musc Ravageur is the Casanova of fragrances. And this concludes today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments down below what seductive fragrances you have in your collection. I always like to know. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, spread the fragrant love.